What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Week 5 review, Week 6 preview show. We'll just go through things that happened last week. Week 5, kind of talk about our processes, talk about some decision making leading up to lineup lock, and then we're going to go through and kind of quick little preview, quick little glance at the price tags for Week 6, and then anything that kind of stands out to us. As always, joined by Title and Mangone. Go to you first, Mangone. Any initial takeaways here from Week 5 and anything that happened that kind of stood out?
Yeah, I had a pretty good week overall. It could have been better, but I love my process. I thought it was overall good. And yeah, I don't know. I think things are coming along. It feels like that time of year in NFL where we start to have a sample on things where I feel confident in certain things. And yeah, overall, I'm excited to kind of talk about everything and break it all down and start getting into the bye weeks where it really gets interesting because we start losing teams on schedules. Guys start getting hurt too. So this is where it really gets interesting. And out of nowhere, like randomly on week 8, we might have someone that just like sits at like 11:30 and, all the edge in the world when that kind of stuff happens. So really like where we're getting to. And then we got NBA around the corner, Hoop, which, I love NBA. So cannot wait for that.
Yeah, great segue into, we'll get the title here in a minute, obviously, but we're bringing back today the 15% off for life promo for the NBA, which starts next week. So basically you have a week to use this promo. It's RPS NBA 15. The NFL one was for NFL season. The NBA is for NBA. Imagine that. So RPS NBA 15. If you use that promo code on a monthly package, any monthly package that we offer, you will get 15% off for life as long as you don't cancel. All sports included, as we always talk about on here. We're not going to charge you when a new sport starts. Our packages include everything on the website, so you have full access to all the Run Pure Sports content. So that promo code is RPS NBA 15. Title, any takeaways from Week 5 that kind of stood out to you?
Mangone pretty much hit on the head. Alexander Mattison, like when you talk earlier in the week when we're looking at first looks and stuff, we don't know Dalvin Cook's going to be out, and that news dropped pretty late, and that changes the whole slate. So we're getting to the time of the year, the bye weeks, more injuries pop up as the year goes on. Teams start tanking a little bit if they have nothing to play for, and just changes all roster construction. So I thought there was a lot of pretty clear locks on both sites, and then a couple decisions here and there. But overall, a good week, and excited to talk about it.
What was the either of you know what the ownership ended up being on Madison? We talked about it on the Wood Show.
What site?
He was more expensive on FanDuel, right? It was what was the price tag on FanDuel? Or no, it was the other way around. He was
55 on DK, 5,500 on DK. He was 80% in this $25 single entry double up I had pulled up. And then on FanDuel, I hate they make you press and hold and log you off on your computer every time.
On FanDuel in a $25 100 man, I have 77% on that.
Okay. So that's kind of more high stakes. Obviously the sharper players. But really was a lock button play once Cook was ruled out. 11-point favorites at home, and in terms of cash games, you just got them in there. Let's talk about FanDuel first, and like you kind of alluded to, Title, there were a lot of just like lock button plays. So you had Madison on FanDuel. I think Damian Williams was a lock at 5.8K. So you had those two guys. Devontae Adams, we talked about it basically on every show last week. I really like getting Adams after a down game. It just seems like they make an effort to get him the ball so frequently when he's coming off a stinker, and he just went absolutely bonkers. 11 catches, 206 yards, and a touchdown. Where it got a little dicey after that. I thought Jacoby Myers. I thought you just played him on FanDuel. He was 5.9K. Getting a ton of targets in that offense. He, busted. He only had 4 catches, 56 yards, but he was cheap enough where if you played him and you still had a chance to do okay. And then the decision really came down to, quarterback. Do you play Derrick Henry or do you not play Derrick Henry? And then tight end, do you play Darren Waller or do you go cheaper? Gesicki kind of became the guy that people look to. So for me personally, I ended up going Derrick Henry. Waller, and then I punted off with my last wide receiver spot with Waddle. And he kind of stunk it up along with all the other Dolphins guys for the most part. Then I had Vikings D, and then I just played Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence really wasn't on my radar all that much throughout the week. I was kind of more looking at Trey Lance, and then as the week went on, I kind of got off Trey Lance a little bit. So I was like, you know what, Lawrence 6.5K. I'll just save the money, go there. This team happened to do really well. Had a good week on FanDuel. I'll go to you first, Mangone. What were your final decisions for cash games leading up to lock?
Yeah, I'd say when you look at Sunday morning, the Madison stuff is obviously something I kind of tinkered on to making sure I get them on my teams. One other thing I definitely messed with is I wanted to prioritize these Dolphins, which sounds crazy, but I thought Mike Gesicki, and I know Title, you definitely had some disagreements on the cash chart, so I'm curious when we get to that to talk about it, because I think that Waller was good, but I thought Gesicki was worth going to, and I know salary matters. It just depends on like what kind of plays you like. I also really liked Waddle, and I don't regret it. I mean, I like having guys in like trailing scripts, right? And the thing I knew about the Dolphins is, are they going to be trailing? Yes. Are they against a team like the Bucs that are a pass funnel? Like Big T has said on a bunch of shows, like Richard Sherman is playing for them and he's just signed off the couch. And if you told me Jacoby Brissett threw for 275 passing yards, right? I would have signed up for Mike Gesicki and Jalen Waddle. Now, did I know Preston Williams would get 60 of the yards and Myles Gaskin would get 10 catches for 74? No. And I mean, I'm okay with living with that. And I still had a good team. My guys were cheap where I was okay with it. And it helped me to go up and get some other options. So Waddle, Gesicki were in there. They were two of my values. Damon Williams was one of those guys that was like a lock button value. So was Alexander Madison. Because I have those two cheap running backs and those cheap other options, obviously, I'm going up to get the big dog, and I made sure to get the big dog. I know some people wanted to go the Leonard Fournette, Madison, and Damian Williams route. I thought this slate could be lower scoring, and it wasn't, but I thought if it's going to be low scoring, I want to make sure that I have the big dog who can get me between like 20 and like 40 fantasy points. So I just want to make sure I got him in there at 44% in this contest. Very happy with being able to get him in there with 31 fantasy points. Trey Lance was another guy I went to for value. I didn't mind going to Trevor Lawrence. When we get to DK, I'll talk about why I didn't go Trey Lance over there. But Trey Lance, I ended up just kind of plugging in as the last guy. I did like the Trevor Lawrence idea on FanDuel, but I just didn't need the money. If I needed the money, I was kind of cool with it, Hoop. I thought it was a pretty sharp idea. And then I paid up for Davante Adams, like you talked about. I had the Vikings D in there. I didn't really consider going too much cheaper. The only other defense I considered was the Texans D. And then the guy I fell on, which he was only 4% owned. And again, if you told me the Chargers put up 47 points, like I would have probably lock buttoned Keenan Allen, right? And it was either Keenan Allen or Lamb, and I just had the money for Allen. And I don't know if this is a regret or not. I was like, had a really good team, and I felt like I was pretty far ahead. And I could have just maybe blocked with CD Lamb. There was just so much going on with the games that I didn't really think about it enough. And I also thought Keenan Allen and CD Lamb were like the same exact kind of play. Like, I mean, they're both really good options. And again, if you told me Keenan Allen 4% in cash, and I was already towards the top kind of, that maybe could have got me some more profit in like quintuple ups and GBPs, where if it's just a coin flip kind of play, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. Overall, though, I did pretty well. I had a really good week and no complaints here for me.
Love the Keenan Allen call. I mean, that was a tough decision. I was messing around with some lineups where I had that decision too between Lamb and Keenan, and I didn't want to make it, to be honest with you. So maybe that's the reason I went elsewhere. But there's a lot of teams where I believe they were $300 apart where I could have played Keenan. Tough decision. If Justin Herbert continues to play, like he's been playing, which I'm assuming he will be, there's going to be some flip here, and Keenan Allen is going to have some monster games, and people just aren't playing him at this point. Even on DK, he was pretty low owned as well. At 6.5K, Keenan Allen, it's going to flip. I mean, it's been all Mike Williams early on, and Mike Williams is very improved. There's no doubt about it. But Keenan Allen, keep him in the back of your head because he's going to be there and treat us well.
Yeah, let's just fire 150 lineups of Keenan Allen, and I'm with you. Robbie Anderson. Let's keep firing it.
Man. I almost played him in cash this week. I came close to. I had a team that landed on him, and I was going to play him, but actually, I think was he the same price as Waddle, or there's a slight difference?
He was 5'6". Waddle, I think.
5'6". So $200 difference. Like I was deciding between those two at one point, and Man, Robbie, things are not throbbing for Robbie so far.
I had a tournament team with it put up 186, and it had a combination of Jacoby Brissett with Waddle, Gesicki, and like obviously if Waddle, Gesicki go off, like it's just like the stack, right? You only need one thing to happen between them. Yeah. Just like I got the perfect script, they just didn't score. And then Robbie Anderson was sitting there at 3% too. It was like literally painful, and I was like, you know what? I'm probably just going to pot commit to playing Robbie every week because when he's going to be 2%, right? He was 3% this week. He's not just randomly going to be like 25% like Will Fuller was that one time. Like everyone talks about the Will Fuller week 4, like two years ago. I don't think people are just going to randomly play him. So when we're talking more cash, but in tournaments, Robbie's going to hit at some point. I'm going to be there when it happens.
Has to. I am too. There's no way I'm missing that one because I've been on him. He's been the rich parents play of the day on a few occasions. You never know. I might be going right back. I'm going to Robbie until he pays me off. I don't give a fuck if it's this season, next season, 4 seasons down the road. Robbie will be in my lineups, GPP lineups, every week moving forward. All right, Title, talk to me about some of your final decisions on FanDuel.
Yeah, so I mean the clear plays for me, Davante Adams, Damian Williams. I had Darren Waller. I didn't even consider any other route, and mainly it's just because we talk about it every week on FanDuel. You play all-star teams. Like every single lineup you fill out is very easy.
On a side note, though, how overrated are the Raiders? I mean, I know a lot of people were on it. I think we had the Bears as a bet on our on the bet side. Just the most fraudulent. What were they? 3-1 going into last week. The most fraudulent 3-1 team of all time.
Yeah, and how quickly that all changed with Gruden and everything now. But I mean, very, very disappointed. I mean, they were at home in a dome. Bears are more pass funnel. Like Josh Jacobs still looks a little banged up. Darren Waller is the clear alpha there. So I didn't even consider going anywhere else. My Waller, what was he? 7,400. There was no Kelsey on the slate. Kittle was hurt. So I thought paying up was the way to go. So I went him, Alexander Madison. So right away, Madison, Davante, Waller, Williams. My next place, the tough decision, if you wanted to go Derrick Henry or not, I decided not to go Derrick Henry. So I paid all the way up at quarterback for Kyler Murray. There was definitely multiple ways to go. I thought you could go Danny Dimes, Dak, Trey Lance, go all the way down. I thought quarterback you could go a lot of places, but I love the rushing upside for Kyler. I love his upside. And I didn't play Derrick Henry. I ended up going Najee Harris at 7,300. He's one of the few 3-down running backs that never come off the field anymore. And he looks really good. Big Ben, I mean, the dump offs are always going to be there. More of a DraftKings, obviously, play, but he was underpriced on FanDuel. He has the touchdown equity, and he had a really good game for me. So at 7,300, he afforded me to get CeeDee Lamb as my wide receiver too. He afforded me, and he put up 21. Derrick Henry put up about 30. So he got enough for me that he kind of canceled Derrick Henry. Najee Harris and Derrick Henry combinations were non-existent because you played Damian Williams and you played Madison. So Najee got there for me. I thought the savings was enough. CeeDee Lamb was my wide receiver too at 6,900. I just wanted some piece of that Dallas Giants game, 325 game. CeeDee Lamb's wide receiver 1, good game environment in a dome. So he was my wide receiver 2. Jacoby Myers, I agree with you, he was 5,900. He was only 25% owned in some. He wasn't very popular, but anytime you get a wide receiver 1, I thought Jacoby Myers' props were pretty good too. I thought he was a strong play. And then defense, I fill out last. I had money for the Eagles D at 3,500. My full team was Kyler, Najee Harris, Madison, Davante, Jacoby, CeeDee Lamb, Waller, Williams, Eagles. And I put up 148, finished 25, 30th, and 50th. So it was also good. But the big decision I thought this week, was, are you going to go Derrick Henry or are you going to go Najee Harris? I locked in Waller, and I thought I wanted to go against that route. So it was a good week, though. A couple decisions, but we were mainly on the same page. If you didn't play Davante, Williams, Madison, I thought Waller. But if you missed one of the Madison, Davante plays, then you did something wrong. DraftKings too. We'll get to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll hop into it. Yeah, I mean, it was impressive, though. I mean, able to overcome the Derrick Henry, 3 touchdown game and still make money. So obviously a lot of different ways you can go, especially when the guys are priced that high. Like, I mean, obviously Mangone and I were on Derrick Henry. It worked out well, but Title wasn't, and he was able to still get there by, kind of spending up a little bit more at the wide receiver position, getting that CeeDee Lamb touchdown. Yeah, let's head on over to DraftKings, and I'm still kicking myself for the final decision I made on DraftKings. It was very, very painful. I'm going to talk about the locks first. The locks on DK, you played Derrick Henry. He's only like 9K. I think, he was a lock on that site. You had Madison as another lock. And then I think you played 3 running backs this week. And then the last spot I really felt was Damian Williams again, or Leonard Fournette. I was fine going either. I went Damian Williams. Fournette did well too. So this is where the decision. Oh, and the last guy I thought was locked was CeeDee Lamb and Devontae Adams too. So really, I thought there was only like 4 positions that you had decisions to make on DK. Henry obviously went off. Devontae Adams obviously went off. All those running backs went off. I think I got a combined like 5 points from the rest of my guys in my lineup. These were the guys that I had in. I had Lance, I had Kadarius Toney, and I had Evan Ingram and the Eagles defense. Those were the 4. I made a swap to Daniel Jones, Curtis Samuel, Mike Gesicki, and the Redskins defense. So literally like a difference of, I don't know, probably
85 points.
85 points or so. Daniel Jones gets hurt. Samuel, was he on the field? I didn't even see.
Samuel got hurt too. He got hurt too.
Did he get hurt? Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't even paying that close attention. Kid had baseball on Sunday, so I didn't get to see a bunch. And then
Tony career day.
Yeah, Tony career day. Gesicki sucked, obviously. It's it comes down to those final decisions. I whiffed on those final decisions, unfortunately, but the core was there. I mean, the core guys obviously went bonkers. You needed those guys. You needed Devontae Adams. You needed Henry. You needed Madison to win. So I whiffed on my final decisions. It was not a good week for me on DK. Good thing I did really good on FanDuel to kind of offset it a little bit. But DK, the final decisions did not go well for myself. Title, talk to me about the final pieces for you on DraftKings.
Yeah, completely agree. Derrick Henry, Alexander Madison, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, all locks. I added in Eagles D as a lock too. They were 2,200. I pretty much always pay down at defense, so I plugged them in my lineups right away. After that, at tight end, I thought it was clearly a pay down spot this week at tight end. I thought Gesicki was fine. I thought Evan Ingram was fine. And I thought Ricky Seals Jr. at 2.5K was also fine. I ended up landing on Evan Ingram, so 3.2K. I got some part of that game on the Giants side. Quarterback, I thought Danny Dimes and Trey Lance. I wanted Danny Dimes, honestly. He was 6,100. Trey Lance was 5,700. Danny Dimes, he's treated me pretty well this year. He has the rushing upside. We've seen Trey Lance, there's more unknowns. So his range of outcomes, I thought, were a little higher. It was Danny Dimes, I thought, which obviously hindsight I was wrong about, but I wanted Danny Dimes. I just couldn't afford him when it came down to it. I ended up going Leonard Fournette in the flex at 5,200 as my running back 3. I was debating multiple wide receiver builds as well. I was looking at some Tony routes. I ended up going Jalen Waddle as my wide receiver 3, but I was looking at some like Tony Waddle and then pay up at a wide receiver or a quarterback. And I was looking at multiple different routes after that, but I landed Trey Lance because I needed the money. Thought it was him or Dimes. CeeDee Lamb, like I said, it was a lock. Devontae lock. Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 3, 4,800. Once Parker was announced out, Will Fuller was already out. He was the main guy. He was too cheap on DraftKings. Good PPR guy as well. And his numbers, his snap share, and how many routes he ran on percent dropbacks were really good. So hindsight, I think the play was right in cash. Results, not so much. Evan Ingram, 3,200. I didn't need the 700 to Ricky Seals Jr. Felt a little more safe with Ingram, so I was fine there. Fournette, 5,200 was too cheap, and then Eagles D, 187.08. It was definitely a train. I saw a lot of some sharp people and people I didn't recognize. My lineup was pretty duped, but at the end of the day, it did pretty well, and I'll take it.
Mangone, talk to me about your decisions on DraftKings this week.
Yeah, I guess I got some more disagreement with Title. I think the one is I don't think CeeDee Lamb was like a lock. I thought CeeDee Lamb was a really good play. I thought you can go Keenan Allen over him, or you can go a different route. But
I gotta agree with Title. I thought it was a lock.
I will say that Keenan Allen. I was debating the Keenan Allen team as the flex in my receiver because I have played 4 receivers in the flex every single time. up until this week. So yeah, I lost Lamb, but yeah, we can disagree. But Keenan, I still did. That was if I paid down at whatever I was talking about, but he was in the range or in the consideration for me.
Yeah, so I think the way a lot of my lineup went was one, I agree on the, not that I didn't like Lance. I thought he was fine. I thought it was more risk to him. And I thought for the $300, it was worth getting up to Daniel Jones. Obviously it didn't work out. My running backs were, I was plugging Henry in, I was plugging Madison. And then it was like, do you play Fournette or do you play Damian Williams? I did not have a strong take on which one to go. It depends on what your 2v2 was, your 3v3. I think sometimes people agonize over that, like Fournette or Damian Williams. I need to get this right. And it's like, I honestly think they're the same exact play. Whatever you like in your 2v2, you're on the right path. Just pick the coin flip right? I think that's the best way to do it. You really didn't. Leo was the better play, it looks like, results-wise, I think, because he scored higher. But, it wasn't a huge gap. From there, I had Devontae Adams in there as well. And then I guess I had the Eagles defense. You can go Washington defense. I don't think it mattered which one you went. I thought that was another coin flip. And then the 3v3 that I definitely got wrong results-wise, I don't think it was bad, but I thought Mike Gesicki was worth getting. I thought you wanted to get, I didn't think you needed to get him, but when I was looking at Evan Ingram and Ricky Seals-Jones, I just felt like getting Gesicki was worth it. So I guess at 2v2, I'm trying to do the math real quick, but I guess the 2v2 would be like CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I think it'd be like CeeDee Lamb and Ricky Seals-Jones versus Mike Gesicki and either Jalen Waddle or Laviska Shenault. I liked Shenault a little bit, ran kind of bad because then he got benched and then ran really good that he caught that one touchdown pass. But I played Waddle, Shenault, and Gesicki. I just really was buying that Miami passing game against the Bucs. I want to attack the Bucs. It's unfortunate the Bucs are on that showdown slate. If you are going to play showdown, play some, Eagles receivers. I think they're going to absolutely crush. It's just a spot that I want to attack, and I chose to do that. And this team put up a 163, which it didn't do amazing, but I definitely got some money back. And then overall between FanDuel and DraftKings, it was a profitable day. So no complaints there. I just wish Laviska wouldn't have gotten benched, and wish Jacoby Brissett would have stopped throwing the ball to Myles Gaskin. 10 catches from Myles Gaskin was not something I saw coming. And Preston Williams' usage just blew my mind. But again, I still think the process was right. You guys can tell me, do you think I was wrong for what I did?
I went up to Gesicki too at tight end. I just felt it was just, I felt I wanted at least one Dolphins pass catcher on each side. I had Waddle on FanDuel. I was like, I'm going to get Gesicki. I didn't have to sacrifice much to get him. I would have been fine if I had a lineup I like better, going all the way down to Ingram or going all the way down to Ricky Seals-Jones. But you really didn't get the big upgrade. You had the value at running back. We already had, Devontae Adams as the spend up. I didn't feel I needed the salary. I felt better getting up to Gesicki. And really, I think the Dolphins take and what happened with the Dolphins, you kind of just ran bad. Gaskin catching all those passes, Preston Williams emerging out of nowhere. Those targets were going to Waddle and Gesicki all season long. It's, NFL DFS, the variance is relatively high. And that's kind of what, what we ran into in that situation. But yeah, I think overall we all had a good week to some degree. I had a great week on FanDuel and, a shitty one on DK. Made a piss poor decision, which, and I don't think it was the worst thing. I ran into 2 injuries, nothing you can do sometimes.
Also I had the injury too, right? So the injury could have been one of the reasons why. And also I know you do this a lot, Hoop. I don't know how much title does this, but I had Damian Williams on FanDuel. So I was like, okay, I'll just play Leonard Fournette on DK. And you hedge yourself a little bit. The natural hedge, yeah. Yeah. So you're just kind of, it's like, you're buying the dip on a price on each different spot. So that's kind of something that I did. And I feel like that's something we used to talk about a couple of years ago. And we don't still talk about it now. So just wanted to bring that up. I think sometimes doing that, it's perfectly fine, especially when you think it's really close.
Yeah, I still always do it. If you're playing on multiple sites, it's not the worst. And in some sports, it makes more sense. And I think football is definitely one of the sports where it does make sense because of the high variance and the injury risk. And, if you're someone that plays only one lineup, being all in on a player can be relatively risky because, one injury in the first quarter and you're done. One injury in the second quarter, you're probably done. So like natural hedge, and by natural hedge, I mean where you're playing a guy on FanDuel for sure. Like we're playing Damian Williams for sure on FanDuel, 5.8K, way too cheap. The price tag on DraftKings is in a range where there's other options. Like I agree with what Mangone said, where Damian Williams and Leonard Fournette, when it's all said and done, they're the same damn play. Like you're picking hairs if you're really trying to compare those guys. They're the same play. So if you already got Damian Williams and you're on DraftKings deciding, natural hedge would be just to play Fournette over there. You got exposure to both those guys. If one goes off and the other busts, you have exposure to both. So I don't think that's the worst idea on certain slates, certain players. We have some buys starting this week in week 6, I believe you brought up Mangone. So fewer games on the slate. You have the Chiefs and the football team. That total is sitting at 56. The Chiefs favored by 7. No Edwards-Helaire, obviously he'll be out. So this just seems like an absolute smash spot for the Chiefs passing game. Guys will probably be pretty popular this week, depending on the value. Christian McCaffrey sounds like he'll be back, I think, a full go. Crazy. Oh, the Vikings are favored in that game by 1. That's wild. How quickly things have changed for the Panthers. I mean, another team that appears to maybe been a little overrated to start the season. We got the Chargers.
They got some injuries. Like I think they lost a couple guys defensively, and I think this is something that people forget to adjust to. Like for instance, last week I know the Lions almost won, but I really liked the Vikings last week. And the reason why I like the Vikings is they got their pass rushers back fully. And when you can apply a pass rush, it changes situations. And these little additions can matter. Like even the Texans last week, I was arguing Survivor, which one was better. Vikings.
Oh yeah, that's what. Did you go Vikings?
I went Vikings, and it was funny because I was I was chatting with some people, and we were arguing, and I was like, look, Patriots are going to lose. And then the whole script got flipped, and then the Vikings saved themselves. But the Patriots didn't have 4 offensive linemen. And these small injuries, I think, matter throughout the year that we need to be adjusting to and seeing, because offensive line play is huge, in my opinion. I think it's very, very massive, and getting defensive linemen back can be huge for the defense. If you take out one defensive lineman, there's less pressure there. And then that you can't get pressure on that quarterback, and then you're not getting the sacks, and then the drives are longer, and then there's more points being put up. So one small thing can change everything with the defense and even an offense. So I like to look for those, and I think that's where I think I do a pretty good job of adjusting and trying to find those little things, especially on Sunday morning when those little pieces of news come out.
Yeah. Colts favored by 10 against the Texans after what Jonathan Taylor did last night. I imagine he's going to be on people's radar this week. Rams against the Giants, big favorites. Rams players, I'm assuming, will be pretty popular. Chargers, Ravens, a 52 total, and a game obviously that we saw last week with the Chargers. I mean, they scored 90 some points. So a team that's willing to enter shootouts. Cardinals, Browns, 51 total. So there's actually a lot of pretty decent totals for somewhat of a smaller slate with the buys. Let's kind of just start on FanDuel, just kind of go through and see if anything stands out to us over there. At quarterback, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, I'm assuming will be relatively high owned. Carson Wentz is only 6.7K. He actually looked good last night. I mean, we give Big T a ton of shit about Carson Wentz. The problem with the Big T thing, he took it to the next level and, claimed that Carson Wentz is a top 5 quarterback, MVP this season, all that crap. But at 6.7K on FanDuel, if you're spending down, don't hate that initial looks. McCaffrey's back, 10K. Jonathan Taylor, like I said, 7.5K on FanDuel. He's going to have some pretty decent ownership as a 10-point favorite. And they're using him more in the passing game like we saw last night. So that's, something to keep an eye on. At the wide receiver position, Robert Woods coming off that massive game. I could see people going to him. We need to monitor. Is Tyreek, what's the deal with him? Is there some sort of injury with Tyreek or nagging injury or something?
I think he's banged up. I don't expect him to miss or anything, but it's still early. He
can't catch either. I mean, he had 3 drops against the Bills.
The one thing too, that Tyreek drop that led to a Bills interception, that thing tilted me so much because that changed the game completely, and that game could have been way closer if that didn't happen. So all those guys, they're just saying Mahomes is dust or nothing anymore. And
they said what does he have, 6 interceptions? I think they said 4 of them have come off drops or tips or they're not 4. Keenan Allen 7.1K, man, going, let's go. Ravens defense did not look great last night, so I don't hate that play. And then what do we got? We got Travis Kelce 8.5. Mark Andrews coming off the big game last night, 6.3K. Sammy Watkins probably going to be out, so I think Mark Andrews is definitely a guy to consider. Title, give me some of your initial thoughts here on FanDuel, and then we'll go to Mangone and kind of talk about DK.
Yeah, a couple really good games. Quarterback Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. I think that game's going to be a lot of fun. 8,200 for Lamar, 8,000 for Herbert. Very good options. Patrick Mahomes at 9,000. You got to expect the Chiefs are going to bounce back in this situation. Washington secondary is awful. Mahomes should have a field day. And if I'm
what happened to the Redskins or not the football team's defense? Like, how did they last season? One of the best defenses this year, just complete dust.
Just like we talked about before week 1 about the Jaguars last year, like we never know who the really good defenses are.
Yeah.
And you get a couple of injuries, no pass rush, the front 7 you're supposed to, and they're absolutely awful now, a team you want to target. And if I'm going to punt quarterback, I'm going to go in that same game on the other side with Taylor Heineke with his rushing upside, 7,300. And the Chiefs have absolutely no defense too. So those two games are really standing out to me. At quarterback, I love all 4 of those. Those are my favorite right now. Running back, Daryl Williams, obviously CEH is out. Daryl Williams is 5,200. The pricing was out before the Sunday night game, so that's a misprice. He's going to be owned. He's obviously the number 1 running back. A couple other guys, DeAndre Swift, he's looking really good, 7,100. Darrell Henderson, 7,300 as a 10.5 point favorite at home. That makes a lot of sense for a good game script. Austin Eckler in that same Chargers-Baltimore game. I really just like that whole game. I think the Chargers have a future for them to win the Super Bowl. I think Herbert's a stud. Eckler catches the ball from they sling it. A really good coach. They go for
that's the most impressive part. I mean, this coach is. I mean, it's funny because it's the stuff that like the DFS and sports betting community have been clamoring for so long in a head coach. Hey, if you're on the other side of the 50, it's 4th and short, you go for it every freaking time. You don't need to establish the run. And he's just like the perfect coach for us. I mean, you have to root for the guy. Just a phenomenal job so far.
Exactly. And I mean, he has Herbert to go along with, who's going to be one of the best quarterbacks we'll see. They have Allen Williams. So Eckler, I just, that whole Chargers game and then Baltimore on the other side as a game I'll have exposure to. A couple other guys. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson, 6.7K in that same game as well. With Chiefs have no defense. So you can notice a trend. I'll be picking on those 2 games for sure. Receiver position, Devontae Adams, top 2, not 2. He's 8.5K. I don't care though. I'm just going to, and that's still way too cheap for him. Yeah. Assume I'll go right back to him in my lineups. Cooper Kupp at 8.2K. Had him on the Thursday game, so he wasn't on the main slate, but even a down game a little bit, and he's still, you'll take his score every time. He's clearly the alpha on that offense. Tyreek Hill, if he is playing, he's 8.7K, so I'm not sure I'll be able to get to him. I'll play Devontae over Tyreek in cash any day right now. So him, Scary Terry, 7.4K, same game. Jacoby Myers and Michael Pittman are both at 5.8K. Those are 2 very strong value plays, and why paying up at tight end if we're going to go there right now. Like Keenan's fine, CeeDee Lamb's fine, DJ Moore, but because Pittman and Jacoby Myers, 2 wide receiver ones in their offense, are cheap, I'm going to play a Kelce or a Waller or a Mark Andrews. Kelce and Mark Andrews stand out the most because you get $700 discount from Waller to Andrews. Kelce is clearly the best tight end play every week at 8.5K. So I won't be going anywhere below Mark Andrews. I highly doubt. Haven't paid down a tight end once on FanDuel. And then defense, I don't care where I go. So that's kind of how I'm looking. The Chargers and the Chiefs, they don't play each other, but both those games individually are DFS monsters this week, and appropriately or mispriced a little bit too cheap on FanDuel, it seems, at first glance.
Yeah, certainly agree with you. Before we move on to DraftKings, please do us that favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Helps us to continue to bring you guys these types of shows each and every week. So hit like, hit subscribe. One other thing before we head over to DraftKings is NBA is starting next week. We brought back our promo code RPS NBA 15. If you use that promo code at checkout on a monthly package, you'll receive 15% off for life every month. That 15% will be taken off your bill. So head on over to Run Pure Sports. Use that promo code RPS NBA 15. Season starting soon, and we are going to run hot throughout it. So looking forward to that. Mangone, talk to me here about DraftKings and anything that kind of stands out to you over there.
Yeah, I mean, Title broke down the whole FanDuel slate. I think we can just do no shows this week. He got it all. I'm totally kidding, but let me break down.
That's a deep breakdown for first look, and that's what you get with Title. He's a man of the people.
He went deep there, but let me tell you this. I opened up the slate. I always open it Sunday, like just randomly. I'll just be like, oh, like it'll be that time of day where I just say, let me open it up and just give a look, not look at any spreads, totals, just see what looks out to me. And I was like, man, I don't like this slate. That was my first read. I said, there's not a lot of dome games, but it's funny. All of the dome games are like low totals. Like the Lions is a dome game, 47.5. The Colts is a 43 total, which is another dome game, which I thought was interesting. But there are higher totals than I expected. I didn't expect all these 50 totals. I expected to be a little bit lower. I do think I'm going to, be just jumping on the Chiefs and just buy them while I can. Like Travis Kelce is 7K on DK, which is worth talking about because typically he's a little more expensive. At least he has been this year. And if you think Tyreek Hill is a little banged up and you think the Chiefs are going to put up points, Travis Kelce could be worth it this week. And I feel like we've paid down or paid in the mid tier a lot this week in tight ends. I think this week might be a week where you're going to see people paying up for Kelce. We'll have to see how it all shakes up. And that Ravens-Chargers game is going to be interesting because, man, the Chargers, I didn't expect the shootout against the Browns like it was. I expected some points to be put up, but not that kind of score. And then you got Lamar Jackson, who you can argue, do you want to play Lamar Jackson against this Chargers defense? I mean, yes, Baker Mayfield just carved it up, but I am a believer in the Chargers defense. But Lamar's a running quarterback, and like running quarterbacks just absolutely crush. I mean, people were counting out, Lamar Jackson last night saying he was, playing terrible. And then what did he do? He went out there and put up a massive score, which he could easily do.
He had some like really, really good passes, some passes that I was super impressed with. But, with Lamar, you get some really, really bad ones too. But I'd say overall, the passing has been much better for Lamar Jackson this season.
All year too. Like he is definitely a refined quarterback that can sling it now. I've been very impressed with what he's done. And he's ran bad with Hollywood drops.
Oh yeah, that game against the Lions. I mean, 2 or 3 really big drops. So yeah, the passing it's been better for him, I'd say overall.
So I'm not going to go there yet, just because. Let's at least play this game. Who has he played? I don't know. He played. I mean, the Rams. I don't know what he did against the Rams.
Hey, I'm all for going to the schedule, dude. You want to go to the schedule?
Go to the schedule because I want to do that on the Chiefs too. On these people that keep making fun of Mahomes being not as good. Go to the schedule, Hoop.
Let's go to the schedule. We like going to the schedule. We got.
I don't even know, but
go to the schedule. He did against the Colts. Like, oh, the Colts are so scary. Oh no, the Colts.
He's dropping dimes against professional football players. I mean, he's dropping dimes. Put it in the hands.
He's lost to the Raiders, who the Raiders suck.
Well, their defense couldn't get a stop, but
now we're making excuses. Title, no, stop with the You're playing the side of just.
Hey, I'm in the middle on this one. All
right, I'll go to mute, man. Going.
Yeah,
I want to look at the schedule. It doesn't look impressive. Maybe it's a little better than I realized.
They beat the Chiefs, who are very suspect at this point.
Very suspect on defense.
Squeaked out a win against the Lions. That's not a good look.
But he was dropping dimes
that game. The Lions, by the way. Justin Tucker for a 66-yard field goal.
But Hollywood, he ran bad that game is what we were saying. It wasn't Lamar's fault. He was slinging it.
They beat the Broncos, which is maybe a good win, and then they beat the Colts.
Was that the game Teddy Bridgewater got hurt? I don't know. I think it was, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And then they beat. I mean, almost. I mean, they should have lost to the Colts. Yeah. I mean, I'm with Title here. I mean, their team might be a little fraudulent, but I think Lamar Jackson has looked better passing the football. I'm going to stick with that. Well, I don't think they're a great team. I will. If that's your point, I will agree with you.
I'm not here to just say he's like incredible at it now and like.
I'm with you. I still think when push comes to shove and they're in a must-win playoff game, I will still be betting against him because I don't think he can get it done in that situation.
Same here. That's my take too. Like, give me the Kylers, the Herberts, the Mahomes, all the other guys. Give me those guys instead. I'm in on like the other quarterbacks rather than when it comes to those playoff games. But listen, just because I make fun of him in the regular season doesn't mean I don't like playing him in DFS because he is a running quarterback and I want running quarterbacks. And hey, it's going to be a week to definitely consider him. There's a good chance I have him in my cash games, especially on his price. Like, isn't he 7.4 on DK? And like, we don't talk about this enough. Monday Night Football guys don't get the bump in price, right? Because that's already out. And oh no, our producer Simon with Lamar for MVP in the chat. That is a painful one. I can't talk anymore. I'm out now.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Wait, he's done. You're retiring after that.
I can't talk.
I give a whole novel on FanDuel, and you say Lamar, sure, Kelsey.
He's out. Yeah.
I'm done. I heard it's. I feel like Big T. It's just the take was so bad. I have to be out.
The interesting one on DraftKings, you got Christian McCaffrey at 8.8. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's one that we have the price tags, right? The price tags have not adjusted for what's happened or what he should be. If Christian McCaffrey had played all year, what would Christian McCaffrey look like? He would probably be a 10K running back. I mean, I think you're just naturally getting a discount. Obviously, matchup will always matter, and is the Vikings. And if we talk about the Vikings getting some pressure, well, if the Vikings do get pressure on Sam Darnold, what's that going to allow? Well, our boy Robbie probably will be running go routes and not getting the ball, sadly. And then Christian McCaffrey will be getting peppered, maybe. I think that could be the case. Or maybe we'll get lucky and people will bite on McCaffrey and Robbie will be able to take one. So maybe in cash game soup, I'm in on McCaffrey. Tournaments, I'm in on Robbie Anderson for the leverage. And then, one of them gets there and I'm happy either way, maybe.
When are they going to give us a fair Robbie price tag? Like, this is bullshit. Like, he's still 4.8K. Like, Robbie Anderson is like a mid-3 player this year. Like, give us the Robbie price tag we fucking deserve.
You don't want Robbie chalk though. You want him at 2% to smash.
We want it here. 4.8 is fine. I'm happy. We will take the Robbie Anderson 4.8K price tag and ship with it, hopefully.
Our boy Keenan is 6'4". That's tasty right there.
That's
very tasty. That's very tasty. 6'4" for him. Robert Woods is 6. Wow, bad pricing on DK on some of these guys. Woods coming off that monster game.
Who can we talk about? The Kadarius Toney bump to 5.6, and then obviously back, right? But that is a big bump. But it depends if he's going to be as involved in the offense. Like, you're going to have to consider it even at 5.6.
Well, it depends who's starting. Is it going to be a Danny Dime? I mean, I don't know. When he stood up,
be Dimes, right?
Yeah, that was a bad. It didn't look good. Yeah. So,
by the way, talk about other guys with like interesting price tags. Like, so if you look, the Packers, I believe Alexander is still out. Allen Robinson is 5.3K. Like, so this happens every year, Hoop. Like, there's a guy that like you're like, okay, this price is wrong. When is it going to turn the other way? I need to jump on it. Like, I don't know. How do we not consider Allen Robinson at 5.3 against the Packers defense when it didn't look impressive last week? I mean, it's definitely a defense.
I think the problem is Justin Fields throwing the football. I mean,
correct. And that's the thing I talk about a lot. Like, you're also buying the guy throwing the football, which is the worry. So
yes,
it's tough. Yeah. 5.3 is tasty, but it's like, do I actually do it? I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of good wide receiver price tags here when you start looking top to bottom. So a lot of good options. Obviously, we'll have our full slate of content all throughout the week, starting tomorrow. Mangone, you're on the bet show, right? Bets and DFS and bets, or picking winners?
Yeah, we call it picking winners. It's me, it's Keg, it's Holden, and we break down. Typically, we do the Thursday night games. You can get a little taste of the Thursday night. That'll be at the end, and then we do the 6 games. So we'll break down 6 games. We give out our best bets, and then we give out our best DFS plays. Last week, my favorite stack was the Bengals and Packers. I talked about how I like the Burrow, Jamar Chase, Adams. I think I said even, depends which Bengals are in, if you run it back with someone. So that was the top stack I talked up. And, I'm sure Keg gave out winners. He always does. Had a big weekend as well. So don't miss out on that. It's a free show. And Keg will definitely give you some bets for the Thursday night game. And if he gives you those bets and they ship, right, just go sign up for Run for Your Bets. Doesn't cost too much. And we have so much content coming up with, NBA coming around the corner.
Yep. We got the promo code RPS NBA 15% off any monthly package on our website. So come check us out over there. We'll be back, like I said, with the rest of the content. If you want more talk about cash lineups, we'll be on Thursday afternoon. That's part of our premium product at Rumpier Sports. Me, Mangone, and Holden will break down the entire slate position by position, giving our initial player pool for cash games in week 6. So head on over to Rumpier Sports, check out all the content. I think you will love it. We're going to get on out of here though. So for Title, for Mangone, I'm Hoop. We'll be back next week.